Today I'll be talking with Eric Tim, Director of Trust Compare. Hey, Eric. I'm really
Hi,
looking forward.
Paul. How you doing?
Doing good. I'm really looking forward to hearing about your Caspio and low-code journey because you've been with us many years now. So I'm sure everyone's going to find your story really interesting. So why don't you share a little bit about yourself and your company?
Well, Trust Compare is a competitive benchmarking analysis firm. We're a subdivision of a consulting firm out of Chicago, and we do benchmarking in the trust industry where our clients will submit their data to us. We take it, analyze it, and then create some benchmarking reports for the clients that compares them to their peer group and then compares them to the whole universe of our subscribers. So we're getting a lot of data in. We needed a solution to pull that data in off the internet, and we're finance guys, so we didn't have the coding skills to be able to do that on our own, and we wanted to get a solution to give us that functionality. So we came on Caspio.
Gotcha. So like I say, you've been with the company working with Caspio for many years now. So what kind of really brought you to low code in the first place, and obviously Caspio?
It was interesting because we had our first data collection website. We needed to add a single field, 5 years of data for one field, and our web designer was unavailable. He couldn't get to it for a month or two, and we had to have the capability. So I looked around for how can we get this ourselves, and just did some web searches and found Caspio. So we put Caspio in place for one field, and we were able to drop that into our existing code so it looked like it was part of our existing web design. And then we had the data. So it got us to that point. Then we got to talking about, okay, now we've got to pay this guy every time we need a change. We got to get on his calendar, and we need to take control of this ourselves, because if we own it, then we can modify it anytime in any way, anyhow. So I totally redid the whole site in Caspio the next year. And from then on, we just keep adding on to it and changing it and adding on to new projects. It's really been a valuable tool for our team.
No, it's good to hear that. And it's I'm trying to think how many applications you've got now. Is it 7 or 8 applications you've got with
It's
us?
7 or 8, and
Yeah.
and there's two of us who are building these
Uh-huh.
and managing them. We're finance guys. Um, I've never had any computer training. We're not programmers. We do a little JavaScript. We do some CSS and some HTML to make things work. We just pick it up on our own. But I had a lot of Access experience. My coworker Chris did not, and so we've taught him that. And from his experience with Access, he was able to slip right over into Caspio and pick it up. So I mean, it's been a really easy transition for us, and we don't have to be programmers. We don't have to be IT people in order to use the system. And that's one of the appeals for us. We can use our finance skills, but also create these sites that'll collect the data that we need for analysis.
Understood. Right. Okay. Yeah. So just to share with everybody a little bit about how your application works and who are the end users, even though you've got like 7 or 8 applications, maybe just pick 1 or 2 of them.
Well, our main one is our Trust Compare system, and we ask for the clients put 5 years of data in on 7 or 8 different. There's assets, there's revenue, there's expenses, there's headcount. So they put all this information in, and then we take that information and manipulate it to create their reports. So that's kind of the main thing. But we've added then because we're all in different cities in our organization.
Yeah.
We're really just dispersed across the country. So we have a management site that we can do analysis, and it's got some workflow capabilities built into it. So we can manage the process of generating these reports and keep up on what we're trying to do. So we don't lose any we don't lose things in the cracks between offices. We're able to use Caspio to help us drive the process. So we'll have emails, we'll have approvals, and so it forces you to go in and use it. And that's been really, really good, because when I first did this, I created that on paper, and I was shipping around PDF forms and Access or spreadsheets, and it just didn't work. So adding the stuff with Caspio and adding our management system really streamlined our process, and made it so that the system does a lot of the work for us. It automated a lot for us. Then I guess the best example is one that happened recently for us. Our boss went to a conference for somebody in the trust industry, and he came back all excited because this was a trust accounting system vendor. They had an app that they used to manage their conference. And so it was, you downloaded it on the iTunes store or the Android store, and it would had a schedule. It talked about the participants. It had all this different functionality. He was really excited about it. Now, we're a small firm. We have nine employees, and we have an annual client conference. And so he came back all excited that we were going to get this app and use it for our conference. Well, it ended up costing $10,000 a year to use. And when he first got back, he talked to my coworker, Chris, and first thing Chris said was, "Oh, we can do that in Caspio." And he said, No, we're not doing it in Caspio. Then Chris told me about it. I said, "Oh, we can do that in Caspio." No, Lloyd doesn't want to do that. So it was one of these projects that we thought it was better to ask for forgiveness than for permission. So we went ahead and built it. It took us about a week and a half working nights and weekends because we had other things we were doing. And we knocked together an app that has participants. It's got our vendor sponsors that are in there. It's got documents, so we don't have to print out paper and distribute paper. It's all available on the app. It's got financial performance reports that they were already putting their data into these into a Caspio data collection system we did, and then we were manipulating that and creating paper reports. Well, using Caspio for this app, we totally put that into Caspio, so we don't even have to get involved and create paper anymore. It automatically updates into this app. So we sprung it on the boss, and he was kind of surprised. I think he didn't really have a whole lot to say about it at first, because I don't think he considered we were going to have anything at all. Yeah. And the one thing that really worked well is our participants in our conference. We sit in the back of the room, the staff, and observe, and people are on their phones, they're on tablets, they're on computers. And so we had to have a solution that would work for any of those. He wanted an app that you would download from the App Store, but we said that's only going to be good for a phone. Yeah. And with Caspio coming out of the box with responsive design, we had an app that worked on the computer and looked really great. And then when you put it on a tablet, it collapsed down and looked perfect. And then it fit a phone as well. So no matter how anyone accessed our app, it was available to them in a way that looked really good and gave them value. It didn't look weird, or it wasn't all scrunched together. It wasn't so small. And it really was a big hit at our conference. So it was something that was easy to do. We had the tools. It was a great refresher for us in terms of training, that we could pick it back up and learn some new tricks. Yeah. And came up with something that one of the vendors actually is talking to the boss now about getting us to build them an app for their conference. So whether or not that comes to fruition, it showed that it was really easy to do and put together, and really gave us a lot of value. We also sold a sponsorship. Our vendor sponsors pay a sponsorship fee. And so our boss sold the sponsorship of the app. And so we have a splash screen, and the sponsoring vendor has their logo on the front. And they were thrilled, because every time you log onto the system, they would see their logo. So it ended up turning into profit for the company as well. So really a good tool, and it really worked out well for us.
No, thanks for sharing that, Eric. And it's interesting, because I'm going back to what you said before about you guys being finance people. And more customers that I'm doing these interviews with, more customers are saying to me that we've actually built it ourselves. So we've not even used the expertise of our professional services team. It's that simple to use. We've built it ourselves. And obviously, when it becomes more and more complex, that's when our professional services team are there to help the customer as well. But it's just interesting to hear every single customer knows, very cliche, it's very different. And I've been doing these recordings now with from startups right up to Fortune 100 companies and everyone in between that. So it's just really interesting to get the feedback from these different customers and their different experiences as well, because it's going to resonate your story with certain customers as well. So it's fascinating to hear that actually I'm not a technical person, but I've built my own application. It's just good to hear.
And as a finance person, there
Yeah.
are tons of Excel spreadsheets out there
Yeah.
on people's computers, and there's semi applications. There's a lot of access applications, but these things are buried and unknown to the organization in a lot of cases. And if something happens, it's gone. If someone leaves, that functionality walks out the door with them. And so by using Caspio, you can take that out of somebody's desktop away from the mainstream, and you can make it an app for a whole department or a whole company.
Yeah.
It's out there, it's backed up, but you don't have to worry about a lot of the pitfalls that you may have with these apps that people have built in Excel, for example.
Yeah.
And as somebody who had done some work in Access, I started working in Access to get away from doing everything in Excel, because Excel isn't the right application for a lot of your work either. And Access isn't it as well, because it's not distributed. You can't use workflow. You can, but it's just not anywhere near as easy. So by taking those skills and putting them into Caspio, now we're able to build applications that have real reach. We get push these out to clients. And if we need to have a change made, we change it instantly and roll it right out. During our conference, we had presenters that presented our keynote address.
Mhm.
We had their presentation. They sent us their slides. We had it up onto our app minutes after they had finished making their presentation. So we're really delivering value.
Amazing.
The title sponsor who sponsored our app said, I'd like to have this information a different way so that I could download this and work it offline. And we were like, oh, we can do that. And you paid for the app, so you get what you want. So we created a new report, added a link, added a download functionality to that link, and put it on the site. So within 15, 20 minutes, he had what he wanted. And it really, I think, made us look like we were really powerful to be able to deliver that kind of functionality just on the fly.
Amazing. So obviously, with you being finance guys, like you said, Eric, there must be a return on investment. So are you seeing efficiency savings or hard dollar savings, or a combination of both with the applications you've built?
Nothing we've calculated, but the easiest thing, we got rid of a web designer that didn't work for us, and we would have to get him to make time to work on our thing, plus we'd have to pay him. So huge savings there. It's enabled us to create new applications. So we started off with the one line of code, and we probably have 6 or 7 different applications that we run now. And there's one we do that's for vendors in the trust space. It's an analysis tool that they can look up data on potential clients. And so it's a sales tool, and we have 10 or 15 clients on that now. And that was something that came out of a project that the boss expected me to do an Excel spreadsheet for this one client. And I ended up doing it in Caspio. Then it was like, oh, we could sell this. And so then we made something that we could sell.
Yeah.
And we keep signing up people up on that, because it's a really good way for them to get data for sales calls.
Yeah. Well, from this side, I'm just thinking as well, is that, Eric, if customers and potential customers are looking at this, what advice would you give them, especially the prospect customers out there thinking about working with low code and Caspio? What advice would you give them based off your experience?
Well, there's you can't really go wrong in testing it out and playing with it. It's pretty low cost to get into it, to evaluate it. If you have access skills and basic understanding of database structure, you can work with that with Caspio.
Yeah.
So I would say get into it and mess around a little bit and try. So much functionality comes out of the box.
Yeah.
We do some customization with JavaScript, and we do a lot of stuff where we will use PHP, or not PHP. We'll use CSS and HTML to give it a different look, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
I mean, we can just use straight Caspio to create reports and push functionality. And our whole thing is data collection and analysis, and you're able to do that right from the start. So there's a lot of value in that. And so again, the cost of entry is really easy, because it's not an expensive system to get in and try. I think you still have a free tier with a couple
Yeah.
pages, don't you?
Yeah.
So you can get in and test it for nothing, and then kind of grow into the different plans as you go along.
Yeah.
But it just, as someone who had some access skills, it was a really easy transition, and it can go so much further than access for us because it's connected out on the internet.
Yeah, some great advice there, Eric. I think especially for the people that are thinking about dipping their toe into the water for Caspio or low code as well. So thank you for sharing that. And really kind of my last question around this is, we've got 6-7 apps you're working with Caspio right now. So how do you see the future with Caspio and low code helping you further?
Well, I've got another app that we're trying to bring online now. We our clients in the Trust Compare world that have their benchmarking report, they kind of want an analysis tool that they could create their own benchmarking reports, and so on the fly. So we've kind of pared down our analysis using Caspio's graphing capability. I have all these different graphs, and this will allow them to select their own peers to compare themselves against and get results instantaneously on their computer or their phone or tablet. And so we're working on a couple technical issues on that. Once we get that straightened out, I think we're ready to roll that out. And it's something that we're going to deliver to our customers as part of their subscription. And I think it really adds a lot of value to what they're doing because it gives them more tools that they can use.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. So from my side then, Eric, it's been a really interesting conversation. Thank you for your time. And I also hear that you're a bit of a foodie. I was looking at your LinkedIn profile, which confirms that as well. And it says you love being in the kitchen and perfecting the best dish out there. So tell everyone, what's your favorite dish that you like cooking?
Oh, wow. That's hard to say because there's so many things that I like. I've had some fortunate to take some classes, and I had two classes with a James Beard award-winning chef,
Wow.
Peter Reinhardt,
Yeah,
who's a baker. So he's an expert in pizza and in bread. So I have do pretty well good pizza, and my bread game's pretty good. And that's something I like. But I just like, when we go out to eat, it's like I wouldn't know if I can make this at home. So I try to make what I make, and have some sites that I look at to help me learn. And I've just learned a lot about it, and I love to eat, so it works out really well.
Yeah,
works out really well.
I'm with you. So next time you're cooking up something really good, get the invitation sent over to me, please. I'll be round.
Will do.
Well, Eric, thank you for your time. Thank you for being a Caspio customer. We really appreciate your business, and thank you for sharing your Caspio and low code journey. I'm sure everyone's found it really interesting.
Well, I'm just really happy to be with Caspio. It's been a really great tool for us, and I can't imagine what we would do without you. So keep doing what you're doing because it's really been good for us.
Thank you, Eric. Really appreciate it.